Thank you all again for joining us this morning. I wanted to go over really quickly. I'm going to be showing the copy bid items and activities feature within HeavyBid, which has been changed recently in more recent versions. I'm going to go over how to copy bid items, how to copy activities, and some alternative copying methods that will benefit you with it in new efficiency and new ways of copying. And try to show you the benefits of the new interface of the copy feature. I'm also going to go over the copy merge setups after I have gone over the copy bid items and activities. So I'm going to try to show you how to copy resources and setups from one estimate to another, as I do believe that does tie into us when we're pulling items and bid items activities from other estimates. I do want to also make sure we can get those resources from one estimate to another as well. The first thing I did want to show you, however, is the help site, help.hcss.com. This is our new site. We're loading it up with articles and tutorials. The first thing you'll see up at the top is the search box. What would you like to know? I'm going to simply type in copy bid items. Whoops. Let me take that slash off of there. Copy bid items. Hit enter. You'll see the very first item that comes up, overview, copy bid items activities. This is a great article that actually goes over the new copy feature as of version 2015 plus, as you can see here. Now these articles and tutorials, etc., on this site are actually built and written by us here in the tech support department. We also have knowledge specialists that concentrate on writing these. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll actually see you can filter based on which product you are investigating or looking into. We can narrow it down and just look into HeavyBid. If we have questions about HeavyBid administration, we can filter down. And you can also filter by article type. Defaults, of course, to all. But we do have FAQs, frequently asked questions, how-tos, release notes for different versions, troubleshooting articles, and then, of course, we do have some videos. Now what I'd like to do is we're actually going to post a poll here. You should see the poll come up on your little right-hand side of your screen, asking about how many of you have seen or know of the help site. If you don't mind, I'd like to post that poll and pause for about 20 or 30 seconds. And I'd like to get a chance to get some responses from you. So if you'll bear with me, we'll post that poll and pause for about 20 to 30 seconds. Five more seconds. And thank you all very much for your responses. With that, I'm going to move over to HeavyBid 2016. As you can see, I'm at the welcome screen, just opening up an estimate. I'm opening up what I have just received. Basically, this is a new estimate. All I have is the owner's bid items, or the owner's requests. I have several bid items from 20 to 210. Have no activities and nothing else in this estimate. And now it's time to start building it. One of the quickest ways is, of course, reusing activities and bid items that we've built in previous estimates, because as we know, a lot of the work we do is, repeatedly done. So we can reuse a lot of the bid items from previous estimates that we have built. The main thing I want you to pay attention to, though, is when I enter the copy bid items and activities feature, I am in the estimate that I want to copy into, the destination estimate. So the copy bid items and activities feature can be accessed most quickly by clicking on the little icon here in the quick launch bar. It looks like two clipboards, one on top of another. If I click that, you'll see it opens up the copy bid items activities screen, and it is a split screen with the source estimate on the left-hand side, the destination estimate on the right, and it defaults to loading the same estimate or the estimate that you are in on both sides. This window consists of very few buttons, but I will go over them here. Current will just reload the current estimate that you're in. The library button will open up a library estimate if you have one designated. If you have one, you can only have one, but that would immediately load up my library estimate. Most recent will pull open the most recent estimate that I have pulled up within the copy bid items and activities feature or window. I also have a drop down for other recent, which would show other recent estimates I have pulled up on the source side. And I do have a favorites. I can edit this. I can choose, let's say I have 3 or 4 estimates that I copy from repeatedly. I could make sure and put them in my favorites so that they're more readily accessible. Down at the bottom we have rebuild tree. If you have an estimate that the bid items string all the way off of the screen and you're opening multiple bid items to look at the particular activities, maybe to narrow down and make sure you're grabbing the right material or activities, I should say. A quick way to close all of that is to click rebuild tree, and that would close everything back up to the bid item level. Go to bid item actually allows you to click go to bid item and search or type by bid item number, and it'll jump directly to that. Again, that's more beneficial for if you have an estimate where the bid items, and you'll see this here shortly, span more than the length of this screen here. You do have a copy and move button up here in the upper right-hand corner. That is one of the ways to initiate the copy process. But the way I am going to show you how to copy is what I believe to be the quickest and most efficient way, and hence the best way to actually copy bid items and activities from one side to the other. So to start off, I would actually like to show how to copy new bid items over. I know I have my order from my owner, but I know I have some indirects and other materials or other items that I choose to add to every estimate that I am building. The first one is going to be let's say a maintenance bond. So I'm going to click on the library. That's going to pull up my library estimate. I happen to know that bid item 5555, if I hit OK, that'll jump me right here to 5555, is a bid item that I have set up to for some sort of additional maintenance bond. The quickest way to copy this over as a new bid item to my estimate is to simply click and hold that mouse button down, and you can actually see the bid item icon or a shadow of it dragging over, and I'm going to drop it into a blank space on the copy to side of the screen and let go of the mouse button. This is going to produce your copy bid items window. HeavyBid does do a little bit of assuming here, but I will tell you that 99.9% of the time it assumes correctly as to what it is that I am attempting to do. So in this case, it has defaulted to copy as a new bid item. I dragged it over into a blank area of the estimate. So HeavyBid was correct. I want to copy this over as a new bid item. The only thing I really need to do here is tell it what bid item number I want to give it on that side, which in this case I'll say bid item 5,000. If I want to enter a bid quantity here, this is a lump sum item, I'm going to do one lump sum. and whether or not I want to copy the notes. Another item I do want to go over though in this screen is down in the lower left hand corner, the use source material rates. This is a pretty important checkbox in that this is if you have this box checked, it is going to use the rates that you have entered for materials only. This is only applying to materials in that particular bid item or activity that you're copying over. It's going to copy over the rates that you have entered for those materials. Now, if you're copying from an estimate that you built a year and a half, 2 years ago, you may not want to use those source material rates. In an ideal world, your material code book is where you would keep all of your prices up to date. So we would uncheck that box. In the copy process, HeavyBid would refer to the material code book, see a price, and put that price in there for that particular material. In this case, there's nothing in it, so it's not actually going to apply or affect anything here. The other two items that I have as an option, I could copy only the activities within that bid item, 5555, to a bid item. I would just have to tell it which bid item I wanted to send that activity to. Or I could copy that whole bid item as a child of an existing bid item. Right now, I want to copy it as a new bid item. I will get into these other features here shortly as I go through the other copy processes. I have given it a bid item number of 5,000. We'll call it one lump sum. Copy. Just like that, I now have my 5,000, my bond, with its respective activity in my destination, or the estimate that I am in the process of building. I also have an indirect cost that I used last in another estimate. So to pull up another estimate, I'm going to click on the three-dot button, or what we call the ellipsis button. This is going to pull up a list that you would see just as if you were going to file open estimate. A couple features I do want to point out on this screen. You can use estimate filters here. So if you have hundreds or thousands of estimates, but you do filter them by estimator or by year, and you know that the particular estimate that you're looking to pull up as a source was definitely done by Earl, I can filter that down, and now it's going to show me just those estimates that were my own. In this case, I'm actually looking for HBX01. So I have pulled up HBX01 on my source side. And I have this job overheads bid item at the bottom. These are some of the indirects that I have built. So storage trailers, field offices, computer equipment, some of the overhead, mainly the indirects that I need to eventually spread back over across my direct bid items. Again, I'm going to simply click. I'm just clicking, left clicking, and dragging it over, dropping it in. Again, in this case, I could choose any of those three options, but I do just want to copy it in as a new bid item. I prefer for my indirects to be at the bottom, so I'm going to give it a nice high number. Hit copy. There we go. My indirects are in there. My job overhead's in there with everything, all the resources within that activity. Now what I want to do is start looking at, you know what, I actually did an estimate that's almost identical to this one 6 months ago. So I know I could use quite a few of the bid items. I know that there may be some quantity differences, but the good thing is that HeavyBid's going to account for that. So let me move over to, I'm going to click the ellipsis button, and I'm going to select I-45 southbound. That was the one. Let me show you the quickest way to copy. You'll see we can look at it. Mobilization has 7 activities and then resources within each activity. It is one lump sum, as is mobilization over here. I want to copy those 7 activities over to mobilization. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, just clicking and holding down the mouse button, and I want to drag it on top of bid item 20. And I'm going to let go while bid item 20 is highlighted. The benefit of dropping it on bid item 20 is that you'll see it has already filled in the bid item field for me. So it knows that all these activities that are listed here are being sent to bid item 20. You also see that the radio button options have changed slightly, but it did again assume that I wanted to copy just the activities to the existing bid items, which is correct. Now, the differences that I do want to show you in this screen, you do have some options here. You have rule. You have a rule for each activity. And you have adjust, same, and override. 9 times out of 10, I would say it's probably going to be adjust, but there may be the case where you know that this one, the project supervision, I know that's only going to be 3 months in this case, so I'm going to override, and I'm going to do 3 months. Now, adjust quantities, this drop down up here at the top will adjust all of the items at the same time, unless you have chosen to override. So just to show you what I mean, if I have some activities set to same and some set to adjust, but I do have that one set to override for 3 months, and I decide, you know what, I do want it to adjust all of them. And I come up here and select adjust. You'll see it took all of the ones I had set to same and changed them to adjust, but the one set to override it did not touch. So this particular menu here, or drop-down menu here, is not going to affect the overrides. We assume that if you have overridden, you know what you want, and that's the quantity you want in there. And you also want to notice and make note of the copy notes on all the way to the right, the checkbox all the way to the right. For the most part, there's no reason not to copy the notes over if there are notes with that activity. In fact, notes can be deleted after the fact. You know, there's lots of adjustments that can be made after the fact. By default, we do check the box for copy notes. One thing I did notice, though, activity 920. I want to come back to this a little bit later because that's actually an activity that I want to copy into several different bid items. So that's going to allow me to show you yet another cool feature in this copy bid items and activities feature. But everything's set the way I want it. I am ready to hit my copy button in the lower right hand corner, and just like that you'll see all 7 activities have been moved over. You will notice that activity 920 is at 3 months, whereas over here it's at 6 months, so my override did copy over correctly. Now that was easy. That was a 1 lump sum item, not too much of a big deal. But what I do want to show is when we have some differences. Rock removal. I have rock removal here, rock removal here. However, we have differences in the cubic yards. So these are quantities differences. You'll see we have 2 activities associated with it. One of them's got our subs in it, our blasting sub. The other's got our equipment and operators and labor in it. I'm going to show you, or what I would like to show you, is how it's actually going to adjust automatically for the takeoff quantity on this side. And yes, I did say takeoff quantity. If you do have a difference between your bid item and takeoff quantity on your destination or copy to estimate, we do adjust to the takeoff quantity, not the bid quantity. So I'm going to go through this process again with rock removal. I'm going to just click on it and drag over, and in this case I'm going to drop it. You'll see it's showing me my activities. It's already filled in bid item 50 because I dropped it on bid item 50, and I have it set to adjust because obviously it's coming from 25,410 cubic yards, but the bid item we're going to is 37,500 cubic yards. I want it to adjust. That's perfect. I'm already ready to copy it over. And we can actually look at the resources and see the adjustments that it made. So let's say operator 1, 338.8 man hours as part of that crew. We can see over here that's 500 man hours. HeavyBid has already done the math and seen the production rate, already adjusted for the quantities. So this is a nice way to quickly build based on work that you have already done. We could do this a couple more times, but I want to show one other item. For some reason, this particular owner sent me my RCP class 4 as one line item, even though there's 3 sizes that's involved in this particular RCP class 4 item. Don't ask me why. I'm not sure why, but it's this particular owner just wants them all as one item. This is a good opportunity to take. We can see I have 3 bid items over here. I can check the boxes for all 3 of them and click any one of those 3 and drag on top of 110. And now this is where HeavyBid is defaulting, and it's defaulting in what I would consider the correct method. It's assuming that I want to copy these as child bid items, which in this case to me would be the best bet. I want to go ahead and get those 3 bid items for the 3 different sizes in there as child bid items of bid item 110. All I need to do is enter a child bid item for it. So I could give it 111, 112, and 113. Of course, this numbering scheme is up to me. I could do 1100, 1110, 1120. I have everything else set the way I want it. I do want it to copy notes over. I'm going to hit copy. You'll see now bid item 110 has changed to the white color designating it as a parent bid item, and it has 3 children bid item underneath it with their respective activities. Now, just for pretend, today's purposes, I guess, I do want to show, let's say we wanted to copy these items over and copy just the activities. We could have checked those same boxes, drag and drop, and we could have selected the second radio button, which would have just taken those activities from those bid items and put them under bid item 110 as 3 activities under bid item 110. I could have done it that way if I had chosen. It's just a matter of preference at that point. This is also a good point to show the option, you know, if this particular, let's say this one 30-inch, this one I know is not 30-inch, but rather a different size, then I can actually click on the activity header while it's highlighted and come select a different size. And now I've changed that to 18-inch. Now this, of course, assumes that you have an activity code book that is in order and everything's in line. I'm not actually going to copy this over. I just wanted to show that it is another way to copy those same 3 bid items over. So, but for today's purposes, we copied them over as children bid items. All right. Now, I can keep showing. I know we do have, let's say, I wanted to show another one with some differences here. Excavate retention pond excavate retention pond. We have differences in the amounts, drag, drop, copy only activities, adjust, copy, bulk and excavate, places, fill. And right now, what I'm doing is very repetitive, and I know you've already seen this, but I wanted to show the advantages of how quickly we could build this out. But that, for the most part, is the copy bid items and activities feature. Now, what I wanted to move on to next, if we have the time, I'm not sure how I'm running on time. I wanted to take a few more minutes.
Just a second. So right now, feel free to keep asking questions during his presentation. As I mentioned, we'll make sure to get to all of them. So even while he's presenting, you can ask questions, and we'll get to them. If we need to get his attention, then we'll ask him to slow down or answer a question. But for now, we do have product experts in the group in the room as well that can answer those questions. Or we can continue to next one.
Okay, thank you very much. So remember when I was discussing the importance of the use source material rates button, I wanted to, since I believe it's kind of related to what we're going over now, I wanted to go over the copy merge setups. When I'm referring to setups, I'm talking about setups in the setup menu, setup labor, equipment, crews, local materials, etc. One thing I did want to go, and I want to make this perfectly clear, we are going to the edit menu, which, by the way, is another way to get to copy bid items and activities. We are going to the copy merge setups, but I will say this. Anytime you're thinking you're going to go to the edit menu and use any tool in this menu, please go to File, Backup, Single Estimate, and back it up. I can't stress enough, the edit menu is powerful, it's great, it's where a lot of the quick and efficient work can get done, but you can also make some massive changes at once, and there's always the chance that you may want to revert back to before you've made 10 or 20 different changes. So I do stress, please make a backup before you go into the edit menu. But where we're going next, edit menu, and you'll see copy/merge setups. So again, what we're referring to when we say setups, we're talking about the labor, equipment, crews, and now you can see the all the options available to you: materials, bid items, calendars, custom notes, workers' comp, bond tables. These are estimate setup files that we're referring to here. You have 4 options in the upper left-hand corner: import merge files, or .mer files, and export merge files, or .mer files. Most often, the import and export of MER files are going to be used when you're going from one system to another. This may be somebody that has maybe some setup files on a standalone system on the West Coast, and they're trying to send some of that data to a friend who's on another standalone system, on the East Coast. At that point, you would export a .mer file, send that to them, and then they would open up the estimate that they wanted to import it into and import that particular MER file. Most of the time, you're going to use merge or replace estimate files. Merge estimate files is going to take, for instance, and I'm going to work with labor in this case, because I know there's some labor in one of the estimates that I used that is not currently in this estimate. because it was not in the master originally. If I'm going to bring in or merge those labor setups, I want to pay attention to these 3 radio buttons to the right: skip duplicates, overwrite duplicates, or prompt for each. This is referring to the labor code or to the code, whether it be equipment code, crew code, labor code. When you're saying merge, it's just like if you're merging 2 folders together. Any items that are named the same, this is going to designate what happens. If I know for a fact that the estimate that I'm merging them in from has the newest and the best data, then I'm going to select overwrite duplicates. If I know that all I'm looking to bring in is any setup information that I may not already have, then I'm just going to say skip duplicates, because I've already got that information. It's just going to bring in the new information. If I'm not quite sure what I'm missing and what I'm not missing, I'm going to have it prompt for each duplicate. The problem there, if you end up having 100 duplicates, you're going to have 100 pop-ups that come up and ask you, do you want to override, do you want to skip? So in this case, you may just want to skip the duplicates for the time being. You can also use replace estimate files. I would be very sure of what you are doing if you want to use replace. For all intents and purposes, what replace is doing is technically blanking out what you have currently in your labor setup and completely replacing it with whatever you're bringing in. Now, if you know that for some reason this estimate was set up off of an older master that has completely outdated information, then by all means replace, use replace, blank it out, find an estimate or a master that has the newest and most up-to-date setups and merge it in. What I want to do today, just to show you this copy merge setups feature, is I'm going to merge estimate files. I'm going to skip duplicates because I'm not looking to override. I know what I have in my system. I'm looking to bring in the ones that I'm missing. And all I'm worried about right now is labor, because I have some labor setups that are missing from one of the estimates that I had copied a bid item from. I'm going to copy that in from HBX01. So I have checked off labor. I have chosen to skip duplicates, merge estimate files. Click OK. It's just giving me a warning. The data will be merged with the data from the source estimate. OK. Merge complete. And it's going to ask me, do I want to update the labor in my estimate with the current labor setup? Yes. If there were any changes, if the rates were updated to the correct rates, I want it to update that in my estimate. And that is the copy merge setups feature. Again, anything in the edit menu, I strongly encourage you to use those features available to you to make your work more efficient. I want you to be able to build these estimates as quickly as possible, and I want you to win every lane you go into. But please, I can't stress enough, make a backup before you make any massive changes and before you're merging setups. It doesn't hurt. It's a relatively small file. You saw how quickly, I went ahead and did a backup and actually was overwriting a backup because I do backup myself as well. And it was done relatively quickly. So I strongly urge you to make backups before you make any massive changes. And if I could say, make a backup before you go to anything within the edit menu, just because it's such a powerful menu. There's a lot of cool resources in here. A lot of cool features.
So so we've had some questions that we've answered, but I think it's beneficial to answer to everybody.
Okay.
So some of the questions were, if you use a source material checkbox is checked, will it grab the price from the specific job or estimate or the original master? And the answer is it will grab the source cost,
from the specific estimate that you're copying from. It won't go back to the master that the estimate you're copying from was created from. It actually uses the cost in the specific estimate that you're copying from. That's a very good question, though. Thank you for asking that.
So spreadsheet assemblies, will they be copied over? Yes, they will.
Yeah.
And
another good reason, and also to copy notes as well, so that you have it. If you have those in the notes, those will copy over with it.
Plus, we just got your question. Just a second, so I can read it, please. You can to everybody in attendance, you can keep asking questions. Like I said, even past the webinar, we'll try to get to everything, and we'll email you back with an answer. And if you have any further questions, we also have a closing slide with an email address. You can always send questions to. Let's see. Let's go ahead and Earl, unless you have anything else. Good.
I don't have anything else. Thank you very much. I stress backing up, but I also stress using these features because they definitely help with efficiency. And do not hesitate to contact us here in support if you have questions. That's what we are here for. And if you come up with something new, then we will write it up as an article, and you'll see it on the help site. Good. That's all. Thank you very much. All the unanswered questions we'll get to you in a few minutes. For now, we're going to go ahead and close the webinar. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you next time.